Hi everyone, Piet and Grade here from the Purple House Wellness Center in Forth, Tasmania. Welcome back to our Facebook Live, and today we want to shine the torchlight on guilt or guilt and shame, because lots of people suffer from that, and it really has a strong implication on your health, because in your bloodstream emotions are chemicals, right? So we just thought we choose a fun topic. And why is it important? I'll just ask Pete. We're sitting in his room today. Pete, why is it important that we actually educate people on guilt, make them aware that perhaps they have some pockets of guilt in their body, and to clear it? Why is that important?
Well, guilt is, there's no guilt that isn't a misplaced guilt, and it's...
How does it affect your cells?
It affects the cells so they don't thrive. They're only in survival mode, and it doesn't only stay. It's not really an emotion. It becomes a mood or a state that we become
familiar with,
and it hangs about. So it can affect our life, affect our relationships. From experience, I let myself get into a state of guilt for years and years, and
do you want to tell us why?
And it nearly ruined my relationships with Grada and my kids, and it really affected my life. It put me into a deep depressive state, really.
And do you quickly want to tell us why that happened?
I was involved in a river rafting accident with my best mate around age 19, and he drowned and I survived. And I took on the blame and the guilt, and I used to go into deep dark places and probably made it hell for Grada a lot of the time, and I didn't think anyone could understand me or would understand how I was feeling. I hated being in that state myself, but I found it difficult to bring myself back out of it.
So Pete was stuck in that kind of guilt mind frame easily for 20 years, because this happened before I met Pete. So by the time I met Peter, he was 22 and I was 17, by the way.
21.
Anyway, so 2 years after the drowning accident, and I was in Holland when it happened. I didn't know Peter, so when I met Pete, I just thought, oh yeah, that's part of the package. I actually found it quite attractive because I'm a healer, which I didn't realize at the time, but I always want to make everyone feel better. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll take that on board, which is often what happens anyway, right? Opposites attract. I'm a person that the glass is always half full, or full rather than half empty. So we worked well together, but I didn't actually realize that for many, many years, because life takes over. We had a big family. I migrated to Tasmania. I didn't actually know that life could be different till Pete and I started to do lots of self-awareness workshops with other people, and we hired coaches and mentors and trainers. We did lots and lots of training, and of course life gave us also many confrontations where we had to learn to do things different. So I just want to explain that a guilt complex can also be inherited. I think in both Pete and I, we both were born with guilt complexes anyway. That is because we were both born in the same religion, which was a very kind of oppressive church as well.
Growing up, we didn't have TV, so if I went to the neighbours and watched TV, I felt guilty.
That's right. So there were many things that we felt. There were many like secret codes that we had to obey, and if you broke them, then you felt guilty. So it was like walking a tightrope all the time. And our children grew up in that as well. Because Peter and I, we only left the church 7 years ago, which most of you probably know from reading our books. So a guilt complex is a really, really heavy feeling. And so Bruce Lipton, he actually says if you pull brain cells out of a healthy, happy person, like a person that's in a state of happiness and joy, so that person is thriving, and you pull some brain cells out of that person and you put it in a petri dish in a culture that promotes life, so to keep it alive, it starts growing and, you know, it thrives. But if you pull brain cells out of a sad person or a depressed person, a sick person or a guilty person, which is all the same family, and you put it in a petri dish with a supportive environment, it's still going to die, because the cells in our body can only either grow or die. There's nothing in between. The cells in our body don't have some sort of state where, you know, nothing changes, because it's either always growing or always shrinking, and there's nothing in between. So of course, guilt and shame, they have the energy of very powerful contraction, because shame, the energy of shame, I think is something like 20 megahertz or 40 maybe.
Yeah, nearly the same as death.
That's right. So when you die, you're still operating at a frequency of 20, and I think shame might be at a level of 40, whereas for us to be healthy, then we have to operate at a frequency of 72 or 74. I think it's called megahertz. So guilt pulls us down. And Peter's right when he said that all guilt is misplaced, unless, of course, you've done something really bad. So if you've done something bad and you feel guilty, that is good, healthy guilt. You need to go and make amends or right the situation, make your wrongdoing right, and then you can be free from guilt, right? So that's the whole point why we actually have guilt in our lives. So Pete, how did you get through that? How did you snap out of it at age 45 or whatever? You actually snapped out of it miraculously.
I'm not exactly sure, but I just had an epiphany one day that I didn't have to feel, I chose the way I felt.
And thought.
And thought. And if I felt myself going down into that state again, I thought, well, no, I have the choice to feel the way I do, or the emotion I feel and the thoughts I think, so I chose differently, and I haven't been in that place ever since.
So also you have to be, it starts then with an awareness, like, hey, what I'm feeling is actually a guilty feeling, because you could be so used to it as well. Like sometimes it's so ingrained. So first of all, you have to be able to aware that that's what's going on in your body, that's creating your dominant chemicals in your brain, because your body just simply gets addicted. That's another thing. The body becomes addicted to those chemicals.
I'd probably felt into it for 20 years, so that was long enough, maybe.
Well, actually, I might disagree with that, by the way. I think Peter felt it, but he was just pushing it away so hard that it took all his energy, and it wasn't much energy left for happiness or connection, like, because it would be very energy draining, right? So the answer is actually, and we can do that now, so just, if you like, play along with us, alright? So this is literally what you do, you turn towards it. So I want you to think of something that still makes you feel slightly guilty today, or that can bring up the feeling of guilt, or even shame, because it's very closely connected. And where would you feel that in your body? Because literally your body is the vessel, the container where all this is happening, right? It's not happening outside your body. A lot of guilt, by the way, does come from the outside, so I want you to be aware of it. Is this coming from the church, from your old teacher, from your parents, from your spouse? It doesn't matter, but where do you feel it in your body? And I just want to give you a clue. So guilt comes from the family of anger. Literally suppressed anger that you're not dealing with, if you want to take it any further. So anger is often stored in the neck, the TMJ, your arms, your hands, and your brain. And sometimes guilt can also sit in your tummy. So that gives you a lot of tension in your tummy and in your solar plexus. So just imagine if it's sitting here, for the sake of the video, I want you to put your hand where you're feeling that sensation in your body. And if you're not conscious, just put your hands here. Yeah, you can do it, Pete. So I want Pete to remember the time that you just felt guilt, riddled with guilt. That's literally, and you know, when you think of being riddled with guilt, immediately I think of a picture of like Swiss cheese with holes in it, right? All right. And that's what it does in your body. So I want you to make that energy stronger now. Don't push it away. I want you to welcome it in. Just welcome it in like an old friend, like you know it's been hanging around your body for so long, many, many years in the background. And just welcome it in like a homeless stranger. And what is showing up for you, like does it have a color? If it has a color, you can give it a color. What's your color, Peter?
Green.
A green color. Is it a nice green or a yucky green?
Just a light green.
And then I want you to think, if it had a smell, what would it smell like? And you can just come up with a smell, because you're engaging all the senses of your body. So if it had a smell, what would yours smell like, Pete?
Like a morass.
Okay, like murky,
yeah.
Muddy. Is it still or moving, that feeling?
Still.
Is it like hollow or dense? Is it
a dense feeling?
Okay. Is it round or square or what? Does it have a shape?
Just a blob.
If you were to touch it with your hands, so use your imagination, what would the surface feel like? Would it be
cold?
Okay. And would it be prickly or slimy?
Yeah, a bit sludgy.
Okay. What else am I missing? If it had a sound, would it make a sound or not? What would it, or if it had a voice, what would it say?
Oh, make a squelching sound.
Like a sticky sound? Yeah, okay. Okay, is there anything else that's coming up that's bothering you? Like, and I want you to really go into the center of it now, like really go into it. Right into the center and have a look around, like snap on your headlight, your internal torch. What else are you seeing? Seeing anything else? Go right into the center of it. I think Peter's is already blowing up from the feel of it, so he's blown his guilt up, so you can do the same, just breathe into it and keep breathing into it like nice, gentle, soft breaths. Even remain curious, and suddenly you'll feel as if you pop through. So it's like a popping feeling, like a balloon that's popped, right? And so now you have created a nice new open space, and you can relax your hand. And it's very important that you put a positive, loving feeling back into that place. So Pete, what do you choose to put in that old space?
Peace and joy.
Okay, which one is stronger? Or just choose one.
Peace.
Okay, so what color would peace be?
Pink comes to mind.
Okay, so just breathe into it now and fill that space up with peace, perhaps joy as well, and the color pink, and make sure it goes into every spaces of your body that before had some pockets of guilt, and now they're filled with peace and joy. Or for if you were doing this exercise with me, some other things can be lightness, more fun, feeling innocence, like childlike innocence, feeling pure joy, energized or relaxed. And so this is a really great way to connect with as emotions come up. So like always check in, does the emotion, what's the reason this emotion, especially when we talk about a negative emotion, they're usually just guideposts or messengers from the universe to show you something. But bear in mind that sometimes it's purely to do with your conditioning, right? It's your go-to. And if it's destroying your relationships and wrecking your health and all the rest, you can't stay in that mood or state for too long because it's costing you. And our existence here isn't very long as it is, right? So you may as well turn it into, listen to it, face into it, and do that practice that Pete and I just did, which I'm sharing in the post below. So all the steps are there, so you can go and do it, and then fill that area with lightness, whatever, and love, of course, like unconditional love. Because at the core of our being, we are unconditional love. It's not something that you actually have to reinstill in your computer. It's just more knowing how to turn towards it and removing the blocks that are all around it. Alright, so the reason we want to tell you this is also because it changes your health, it upgrades your health. Instead of releasing toxic emotions in your body all the time, you're now releasing health promoting chemicals.
So, yeah, the chemicals are a lot better for us.
Yeah.
Create a healthy environment.
Bear in mind, your body is simply a machine that's used to your dominant state. So if your dominant state is, let's say, guilt or sadness, a lot of women suffer from sadness. And men, it could be more anger, but having said that, so guilt is actually a state of anger as well. Our body is simply used to that state. So like when you do work to release all that, you have to receive new energy into it, and you might have to do it again tomorrow and for a few days, because your body has to get used to the upgrade. Right? So you do a recalibration today, then you might have to recalibrate quickly tomorrow and for a few days.
And it's often addicted to the chemicals that it's been bombarded with all that time. So it'll be wanting more of it. Yeah.
And sometimes those chemicals, like, believe it or not, can even give you dopamine. You know, you could be making a less happy choice for you, and it releases, strange enough, dopamine, which makes you feel mellow and happy. Actually, if you do the harder thing for yourself, but in the long run better, it's not immediately going to release dopamine. That's why we struggle so much with changes. Our body doesn't like change. But we're here to help you. So if you're really, really stuck, don't be like Pete, can I say that? Be different to Peter, right? You don't have to stay in those states, you don't have to stay in pain or anything like that or disconnect. We can help you. Alright, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and also remember that we do this every Tuesday. We also work here. We're seeing clients Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and you can call our team on 6428 3007. They're here to help you as well. And we appreciate that you're in our community and tuning into our videos. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, and have a good week.
Have a really great week. Bye.